Hi DIYers, this is Michael from Alarm Grid, and today I'm going to be showing you how to add a user code to your Honeywell Home PROA7PLUS security system. This also applies to the other ProSeries alarm panels. They all follow the same process for adding user codes. Now you can have up to 96 user codes on your ProSeries alarm panel, so everyone in your home, everyone in your office should be able to get their own code for arming and disarming the system, just so you can have everyone control the system individually. You can monitor who's using the system. It's great to set everyone up with their own code. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. There are different types of codes, which I'll get into that as we go along, and I'll show you what happens after you've added a code, how you can use it, what access it gives you, and I'll show you all those cool different things. But let's first get into the user management menu. So we're at the main screen of our Honeywell Home PROA7PLUS. We're going to click the small hamburger button at the bottom, the 3 horizontal bars, and we're going to go down to Settings, and we're going to choose User Management. And then we have to use a code to get in. We can use our master code to do this. We can also use our installer code, I believe. Let's try using the installer code, which ours is at the default of 4112. And although we got in with our installer code, we will eventually have to provide the master code. I'll show you that in a second. But if we want to add a new user, right now we just have the master user on the system, so only one user has been added. If we want to add another user, we're going to press the plus button in the upper right corner. And then we have to give this user a name. We'll call him Zach. And so we're going to save that in the bottom right corner. And then we can start building the user Zach, or whatever you've named the user. So first we're going to click the pin button over here, and this is where we choose the code. It's going to be a 4-digit code. And we'll do 1111 for Zach. And then we have to confirm that code by entering it again. If we enter in the wrong code, let's say if we enter in a different code, like 7777, it's going to say that the pin doesn't match, so you do have to confirm it properly. So let's try it again. Let's do 1111, and then we have to confirm it again, 1111, and there we've entered the pin, so that will be the pin for Zach. And then we scroll down and we have different partitions. Right now we only have 2 partitions enabled on the system. There are up to 4 partitions on the PROA7PLUS or other ProSeries alarm panel. So you're only going to be able to control the partitions that are enabled on the system. So right now 3 and 4 are disabled, so we can't give Zach access to those partitions. But we can give him access to partition 1 and partition 2. And there are various options that we can give him. If we give him none, then he won't have any control over that code, over that partition. He won't be able to do anything. He won't be able to arm it or disarm it. If we choose user, that's the standard level. Zach would be able to arm and disarm at any time, so that's kind of the base level there. If we go to guest, guest means that you can only disarm if you were the code that was used to arm it. So if we used a different code to arm the system, then Zach wouldn't be able to disarm. But if Zach was the one who armed the system, then he would be able to disarm. So that's what guest is. It's also known as a babysitter code. So just that's what guest is. Arm only, Zach would be able to arm the system, but he would never be able to disarm. So that's what that is. Partition Master is a bit higher up than a standard user. You'll also be able to set user codes for that partition. Any partition that you're the user master over, you'll be able to add and delete codes. So you'll have a bit more authority there. So if you want that, you can use that. And last, we have duress. And now that's an emergency code. You'd only use that in an emergency situation if someone's holding you up, you're in danger, you need to call for help. What that does is when you enter that code, it looks like the system's disarming like normal, but really the system's sending out a distress signal. So it's only useful if your system's monitored with central station service. It's sending a signal to the central station, hey, I'm in help, duress, send help immediately. I'm in trouble. So that's what duress is. So if you want to set that up, you can. You don't have to set that up. If you're afraid you might enter that code by accident, then you don't have to set that up, but you can set up a duress code. We're going to make Zach just a standard user today. And then we can go and add in the upper right corner, and we have to confirm with the master code. This is why I said you do need to know the master code to add users. Let me just show you. If I enter in the installer code, it's not going to work. 4112. Now, even though we use that to get into user management, we can't use that to change a code. See, it says failed. So let's enter in the master code this time. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the default master code. We haven't changed ours. And now we have Zach on the system. And just to show you what that means under it, so you see for master, it says master under it, because master is the master of partition 1 and the master of partition 2. Zach is a user on partition 1, and he's nothing on partition 2. So just show you what that means. Now let's go back to the main screen, and I'll show you that a little bit. So we're at the main screen here. If I were to go to ARM, I go to ARM Home, and I go to cancel. and I want to cancel the arming session, I have to provide a code. Let's try Zach. He's a user on partition 1, so he can disarm. So Zach has control over that partition. But if I go to partition 2, and I have to provide a code to change it, let's try entering Zach's code. Let's see if he can get into this. No, he can't do it because he has no access over partition 2. So we'll try using the master code, which does have access over partition 2. And let's try disarming with Zach again. Let's try doing that. And so if I enter in Zach's code, again, nothing. He doesn't have control over partition 2. But if I use the master code, then I'll be able to do that. So you see Zach only has control over partition 1. And now there is one last thing I want to show you. If we go into the user management menu, we go down to settings, and then user management, and then I'll use the master code again, and this time 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I click on Zach. I have a few more options. Now, the reason these options are here, when you're setting up the code initially, you won't have access to these options. You have to go back in after the fact, which is what I'm doing now. You see that we have disarm with Bluetooth and Z-Wave lock control. I'm just going to talk about these a little bit. I'm not going to go into the full sequence of setting them up. But disarm with Bluetooth is I'd be able to pair my phone with the system and have Bluetooth enabled on my phone. And then when I return and activate an entry-exit zone, my phone would be paired to the system via Bluetooth, and it would disarm automatically. It would see my phone returning after I've faulted that entry-exit zone, and it would just conveniently disarm. I wouldn't have to enter in a code or anything. And it actually works pretty well. Like if you leave your phone behind, your phone won't be able to just automatically disarm the system. So if you forget your phone by accident, you won't have to worry about that issue. It's only if you take your phone away, you leave, you go away, you come back later, and you have your phone with you, and the system recognizes your phone, then it'll see your phone and it will disarm. Just as a tip, I wouldn't rely on that working every time. Make sure you do have a code so that way you don't cause a false alarm on your system. But it can be quite handy, and it works pretty well, actually. So that can be an option if you want to set that up. And we also have Z-Wave lock control. The way that that's going to work is the code would get pushed over to the Z-Wave lock, and I'd be able to enter in Zach's code 1111 or whatever the code is. And not only would it unlock the Z-Wave lock, it would also automatically disarm the system because I've used the lock to get in, and then I wouldn't have to worry about getting over to the panel and disarming over there. So it's just, a convenient, cool feature. So those are nice. Now let's see if I give Zach a little bit more authority. Let's see if I give him Partition Master, and then I go to save. I have to provide the master code to save it, so we'll enter in the master code 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're back here. He's a user and he's a partition master now. Let's see if I can control partition 2. So we'll arm, and we'll arm away, and we'll cancel. And now let's see if Zach has the authority to disarm partition 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. And he does. So we've given Zach a bit more authority. Let's see if Zach can get into user management menu because he's a partition master now. Can he get in there? Let's see. And then we'll use Zach's code to try to get in. And it does let him in. It gives him a bit more authority because he's the partition master now, so he can control partition 2. He's not going to have access over partition 1. You see it only lists partition master down there. He's not going to be able to control partition 1 settings, but he can do partition 2. So if we go to add a user, let's say Zach has a friend named Amy, and we go and add Amy to the system. Now you see we can give Amy a code, and we can give her access to partition 2, but Zach's only a user on partition 1. He can't create a code for partition 1. He can only control partition 2. But if we want to give Amy a code, we'll give her 8888, and then we'll do that again. And then we'll make Amy ARM only. And then we can go and add Amy. And we have to add a pin. Let's see if Zach can do that. Let's do 1111. And he does have authority, so he's able to add that in. So let's go back to partition 2, and let's see what Amy can do. We'll try to arm, and we'll arm away. And then we're going to cancel. We'll do Amy's code. And Amy can't do that. She can't disarm. She can only arm. So if we didn't have quick arm enabled and had to enter a code, we'd be able to use Amy's. So just various options there. But we can always use the master code. If you're ever in doubt, just use the master code, which we have ours at default. Please change your master code. Don't keep yours at the default because that is a security risk. But if we didn't have quick arm enabled and we needed to arm, we would be able to use Amy's code, but we can't disarm with Amy's code. But that goes over pretty much everything for adding a user code on a PROA7PLUS or other ProSeries alarm system. Remember, you only have the limited options when you're first adding the code, but you can always go back in to do the Z-Wave disarming and the Bluetooth disarming. So the Z-Wave lock disarming and the Bluetooth disarming. So that's where those settings are. But that goes over everything for adding a code. So if you have any questions about adding users to a ProA7PLUS security system or other ProSeries Alarm Panel, if you have any questions about the system or about alarm monitoring services in general, send an email to support@alarmgrid.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up below to like the video. And remember to subscribe to our channel for updates on future videos. We hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.